Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, flying solo. So the Warriors, they lost to the Pacers 125-119 in Indiana. They're 0-2 on this road trip, this 6-game road trip, and things might be a little worse. I just finished watching the game, and we don't know the extent of Steph Curry's shoulder injury. He hurt it in the third quarter as the Warriors were making a pretty impressive comeback, actually. On a drive by a Pacers big man, Steph swiped down on the ball and then instantly reached for his shoulder, kind of like his deltoid like bicep area. No idea what it is. I haven't had a chance to, at this point, I don't think they've even talked about it in the post-game pressers. I don't think those have happened yet. And they'll probably do some kind of like X-ray or MRI or whatever they do on those kinds of things. That's bad. This is really, really bad for the Warriors in general. Everything that we've been talking about in the near term, in terms of like, getting through this road trip, 3-3 perhaps, could be, even more in jeopardy if Steph is out. If he's out for an extended period, I mean, I don't even want to go there just yet. Steph was having an amazing game. He was the only dude that was really, really, really on from the start. And honestly, it felt like the play-in season, the 2020-2021 season, where it was just Steph going off and saving the day and keeping the Warriors close. He played 30 minutes. He was 11 for 19, 5 for 10 from three, hit all 11 of his free throws, 7 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals, 38 points. And he looked like he was just trying to will this team back as much as he could, coming off of that really, really brutal Bucks loss. You thought that the Warriors would really come after this one, but they were down 2 starters. They were down Wiggins and, of course, Klay Thompson, who doesn't play the second night of back-to-back games. And, the Warriors starting lineup is like still, I think, the best lineup in the league numbers-wise. But when you don't have 2 of them, then, what are you kind of left with? And Jordan Poole, you expect him, you need him to step it up without Klay in there. And he had another rough game, was just straight up. He just did. He got swatted a bunch. I will give him credit for attacking the basket. There were some drives where I thought he should have gotten a foul call. Some of the contact was below body, people pushing and stuff like that. And I think the refs missed it a lot of times because they were looking up at the shot. But, they just didn't get him those calls as often as I think they probably should have. And, there's those fun conspiracy theories that because guys like Steph and Poole and Draymond, they've shown up refs in the past couple of years where, you've seen the memes of Poole behind refs' backs, like giving like funny looks, and Steph, of course, like yelling at some refs. And then Draymond, he just has history, but usually that doesn't even come into play. But for some reason with Steph and Poole, just don't get the calls. That's been following Steph for a long time, but Poole is kind of a new thing because he used to get some calls. He was like one of the few guys last year that, I depended on to get calls, but he just looks out of sort. He was jacking up shots. He played 33 minutes, 8 for 22, only 1 for 7 from 3. And a lot of those were just like off balanced, ill-advised 3-pointers. He had 5 boards, 5 assists, but also 4 turnovers, 20 points on the night. And he was in foul trouble early in this one. And he got his 5th foul early in the 4th quarter. And to be honest, I was like, I agreed with Steve Kerr, just leave him in the game. It might actually be better if he fouls out. He was making the same mistakes that he did against the Bucks, like the same things. And again, like I was glad he was driving and I was glad he was trying to get foul calls, but man, some of those dribbles and dribble drives and shake and bakes and in and out moves where the ball slips out of his hand. I mean, he drove past TJ McConnell on the screen once, and I think it was Miles Turner he ran into. And I think on the broadcast they said, McConnell came back and picked his pocket. And no, he didn't. Poole just lost it. And so there's a bunch of those. And who knows, if he had an even mediocre game in this one, maybe there's a different outcome. Maybe things go differently from the start, but it is what it is. And you just move on to the next one. A bright spot, again, as usual, Jonathan Kuminga. He didn't have the best shooting night, played 24 minutes, 4 for 13 from the field, 8 boards, 1 steal, 1 assist, 2 blocks, 9 points. But he played good defense. He played overall pretty good defense on Tyrese Halliburton when he was on him. There were a couple times Halliburton got to the basket on him, but overall, Kuminga did pretty well. He brought energy. And, some of those missed shots on his 4 for 13 were he missed some layups, and then he would get the rebound and tips and all that stuff. And each of those counts as a shot. So I won't put any of that on him. And to start the third quarter, the second half, Steve Kerr put Kuminga in the starting lineup instead of Kevon Looney. And that was huge. The Warriors were down, 20 at halftime? And that basically triggered everything. They came back, got within 3 a couple times. And a lot of that was Kuminga. It's tough because you look at the Pacers roster and their lineups, and they're a bunch of really young, athletic, long dudes. And some of those guys, especially when a guy like Wiggins is out of the game, and even Clay, even though he's not the most athletic, obviously is a step slower a little bit with age and injury, but just in terms of length. So putting Kuminga out there, I thought, to kind of give that energy boost, also that length and athleticism and just bounciness, right? Like I've talked about so many times how he's just a fast riser. And he did that a few times in this game, to get the putbacks, to get the foul call. I admire the fact that this Warriors team fought hard at a certain point, right? Draymond Green, he got his second technical and he got booted and he joined Steph in the locker room or something. He didn't have a great night, but he was clearly frustrated. He was 0 for 3 from the field, 1 for 2 from the line, only 2 boards, 3 assists, 6 turnovers, 1 point in 27 minutes. So that's not a typical Draymond Green game. And there were some calls that really got to him. There was the call that was a travel on him. And, technically on the replay, he moved his pivot foot before he even put the ball on the ground, before he even made the move to dribble. So that's that. And then he fouled Mathurin on a 3-pointer that he made. So, Draymond was gone after that. And then the Warriors were just left with basically their vet rest team, right? There was no Steph, there was no Draymond, there was no Clay, there was no Andrew Wiggins. And Looney didn't come back in the game. JaMychal Green, who has been kind of negative for a while, a big 0, he played better. He was 4 for 4, hit all 3 of his 3-pointers, which were big, 15 points, 5 boards. And he gave some toughness to the team. He kind of shouldered some people. And especially with Draymond out, I guess you kind of need that a little bit more. But, this is something that we all have been worrying about, right? This wasn't an injury to Steph in the sense that it was a wear and tear. He's been overplayed, anything like that. Luckily, it's not a lower leg injury, an ankle injury or anything. But again, right now, I don't know the extent of how bad it is. Obviously, regardless, they're going to play it safe, and he's probably not going to play the next couple of games unless it was just some random stinger that goes away really quickly. But on the flip side, you try to look at this as an opportunity, right? An opportunity for guys like Moses Moody, honestly, right? Like he came in 5 for 6 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, 13 points, 3 assists, 1 rebound in 23 minutes. And we've talked about how we're not exactly sure why Moody doesn't get minutes. A big part of it is some of the stuff Kerr has said about moving the ball, hunting his shot too much, not being solid enough on defense. And then it's also being stuck behind Dante DiVincenzo, Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, Lamb, whoever else is in front of him on the depth chart. So it gives him a chance, if Steph is out for a short stretch, I guess, and even a long stretch, it gives a chance for some of these other guys to get minutes and a chance for Moody to prove himself out there more so than he has recently. It's going to be a tough road for a while. And if Steph happens to be out for a longer time, then the fact that they've been hovering around 500 is going to be biting them on the butt, because we've talked about how overall the Warriors' health has been really, really good this season. DiVincenzo out for a couple of weeks to start with a hamstring, and now Andrew Wiggins with a adductor strain. Steph had been carrying this team, and now if he goes down, then whew. And this is why you usually hope to pack away some wins. And we were just hoping that they would start packing some away, be able to rest some of the guys. But this is just, part of what it is. This is the hand that you're dealt, and you got to play it. And it's an opportunity for guys to step up more. If Wiggins doesn't come back, in the next game, I'm expecting Clay to be back, of course, Poole to be in the starting lineup. And if Wiggins is sitting, I would put Kuminga in as a starter, just for everything that he can do, and then move Moody up perhaps. But definitely you have to lean into some of those strengths that you have now and give guys an opportunity to show what they got. They can perform, we know it, but it's going to be a huge team effort because you're not going to be relying on Steph. Hey, let's look on the bright side. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, that Steph is only out for a short time. It's not a really, really bad injury. Say he's out for like a week or the rest of this road trip or whatever. It gives the other guys who don't play as much an opportunity to really, really take ownership, feel empowered, and perform without him, so that when he comes back, they're better, even more ready. And, you go from there. Whomever is available, assuming it's not Curry and it's not Wiggins against Philly, you just, you roll out there with who you got. You still got Draymond, still got Clay, and hopefully Poole plays better. And you have some new guys, some young guys who can hopefully contribute and start showing their worth. Maybe that's how this goes. Maybe it's all of a sudden like, oh, wow, Moody is ready for more minutes. Oh, wow, this is Moody's chance to get ahead of Ty Jerome, to get ahead of Anthony Lamb, and, ahead of the two-way players. You know what I mean? Maybe you get Patrick Baldwin Jr. Maybe you get him like 8 minutes in one of these games and he drains like 3 threes. Who knows? Definitely still going to tune in to find out. But with this injury to Steph, it's like, it's an opportunity, definitely an opportunity for some of these new guys, some of these young guys to show what they got and show how far they've developed. So, go from there. The Warriors get a day off, and then they play in Philadelphia on Friday, in Toronto on Sunday, against the Knicks on Tuesday, and then Brooklyn on Wednesday, the 21st. And then they get a few days off before Memphis on Christmas Day. That's going to be at Chase Center. So I have no idea right now. I have no idea where Steph is going to land in that stretch of games. If he's going to land in there, he looked like he was in a lot of pain, but it could just be one of those things. So fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed, because that definitely changes the trajectory of the season if he's out for a while. Who knows? If he's out for like a month or something, then all of a sudden the Warriors become the most dangerous 6th seed, 7th, 8th in NBA history. But yeah, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. And hopefully he's good to go relatively soon.